Hello everyone, welcome back to my Chem Corner. So in today's video, we are going to just brief on the new blueprint that we've got for second PUC. I know it's been out for a quite long time, much before your pre-boards, but since we have not discussed a little on it, I thought I'll give you some inputs apart from just looking at what the blueprint says. So if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you receive notifications as and when I upload any new videos. So in this channel, we're basically focusing on not only second PUC, we're also focusing on first year syllabus 2 that covers the CBSE portion as well as the PUC portions. So let's move into the video. So in this year, we know that there is a change in the blueprint pattern for various reasons. So initially the question paper in part A did not contain any multiple choice of fill in the blanks. It had only single word answers or single sentence answers. But this time for part A, you're going to have 20 questions. In that 20 questions, 15 questions are going to be MCQs and 5 questions are going to be fill in the blanks. So here part A clearly says 20 into 1 mark, which means to say that you have 15 questions as MCQ and remaining 5 questions are going to be fill in the blanks. Now how these questions are going to be divided is they're equally divided among all 3 parts of chemistry. So you have questions from physical chemistry, you have questions from inorganic chemistry, and you have questions from organic chemistry. So part A is basically an entire mixture of all. Now if you see here, the very first row that is named as Roman number 1 is all MCQ based questions. They are equally divided among all chapters. But if you're looking at the fill in the blanks part, in the fill in the blanks, you have your fill in the blanks coming from the chapter solution. You have fill in the blanks coming from chemical kinetics. Those are the only 2 chapters from physical chemistry. In organic chemistry, you have questions coming from P block, you have question coming from haloalkanes, and the last one coming from chemistry in everyday life. So they have touched each part of the chemistry, but ensure that major part of all questions come under MCQ and just a few from fill in the blanks. Now in MCQ, when you're looking at it, some of your options could be confusing. So for those students who are aiming for centum or aiming 95 and above, has to go through your entire textbook, each and every corner of it, because you don't really know from where the questions can come for MCQ. It's harder to get a centum, so I would suggest if you're a person or a student who's aiming for 95 above, 98 above, a centum in the subject, you need to go through the entire textbook in order to answer 100% question in the paper. Now that is all about part A. So 15 questions of MCQ, 5 questions of fill in the blanks. Now moving to part B, you have 2 marker questions. Now under 2 marker question, you are asked 8 questions. Alright, you are asked 8 questions. Out of that 8, you can answer any 4. Alright, you can answer any 4. Alright, so you can answer any 4. So you're provided with 8 questions. You can answer any 4, which means 50% of questions you can answer. Now, in this again, it's going to be a mixture of all parts in chemistry. So here you have question number 21, which is coming under solid state. Possible questions that they can ask under this could be 1, Frenkel and Schottky defect, either the definition or 2 differences between them. So that could be a question there, or you can be asked a question of 2 differences between crystalline amorphous solids, or you can be asked a question for a very simple problem on to calculate a formula. So say they can give you say for example A is going to occupy the corners of the cube and B is going to occupy the face centers, therefore derive the formula for this particular circumstance. So that kind of questions can be asked under that particular 2 mark question. Or say a question on ferromagnetism, where they ask a definition and an example. Alright, so that is for question number 21. Then moving to the next question that is falling under electrochemistry. Again, that is question number 22. Here they can ask cathodic anodic reactions of fuel cells, cathodic anodic reactions of a corrosion that's happening, corrosion, or they can ask you say a very simple problem on delta G in the chapter, where they give you K value and ask you to calculate what is the delta G in it. Then they can ask you a very simple question like definition of molar conductance and give the SI unit for it. So these kind of 2-mark questions, very small ones, can be asked from that particular chapter. Then the next one that they can ask is question number 23 from the chapter chemical kinetics. Chemical kinetics, a 2-mark question that they can possibly ask is explain the effect of catalyst on activation energy, where you draw the graph and you show the explanation. It's a 2-mark question. Then another thing that they can ask is give conditions which will affect the rate of reaction, proper orientation, activation energy, and all of that. These kind of 2-mark questions can be asked. Or very simple, derive an expression for rate constant for a half-life of a first order reaction. That's a very small derivation, 2 marks it can be asked for. Or represent the following reaction. So they're giving 2 reactions and they ask you to represent it, write the rate expression for it, or give the SI unit for say 2 of the rate constants. So these kind of smaller 2-mark questions can be asked. Next is question number 24, which is coming from DNF block. Very easy questions can be asked from this. A lot of reasoning questions can be asked. Say for example, they can ask candium 3 plus is a colorless ion, whereas Cu2 plus is colored ion. What is the reason behind it? You know, you can talk with respect to unpaired and paired electrons in colored and colorless solution. Then they can ask a question based on what is lanthanoid contraction, give any one consequence of it, or give it a causes of it. So these kind of questions can be asked under the 2-mark questions that's coming from DNF block. Basically give reason kind of questions can be asked over here. Then next one is from question number 25, which is from organic chemistry, alcohols, phenols and ethers. Organic chemistry, I don't really have to tell you. You have n number of equations, n number of reactions are there. You have a lot of name reactions, right? So there what they can possibly ask you is probably a particular name reaction can be asked. Like for example, give the equations for Riemann-Tiemann reaction. It's a 2-step process, so you can be asked just to write the equations for it, or explain coal-base reaction. So you write a line of explanation and you give the equation with proper conditions. Or another thing that they can ask is, since you're learning a lot of preparation methods, they can say complete the following equation and give you the reactant side. They are expected to write products for it. So 2 equations can be given for 2 marks. So here those kind of questions can be expected. Similarly, in question number 26, you can be expected same type from aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acid. You have name reactions, you have other reactions, so you can be expected questions from here. Now, one thing that you can also be asked is, say in terms of carboxylic acid, if I have an electron withdrawing group, explain the acidity of that particular carboxylic acid. Or if I have the electron donating group, what is going to be the acidity of it? So that kind of questions, reasoning questions can also be asked. Alright, so focus on those kind of questions when you come to 2 markers from here. Then the last 2 questions, which is question number 27 and question number 28, can be from electrochemistry in everyday life. So here they can ask possibly one from, say they give you, give an example for a narcotic drug, or give an example for a non-narcotic drug, give an example for an antioxidant, or give an example for an antiseptic drug. So these kind of one-on examples can be asked, or give an example for an artificial sweetener. So examples mainly, or they can ask you a definition, define what is analgesic, or give an example. So these kind of questions can be asked. Mostly definitions with examples can be asked, because that's exactly what chemistry in everyday life is all about. So that's basically what your part B, which is 2 marker questions, contain, equally divided among all parts of chemistry. Out of any 8 questions, you can answer any 4. Now we move on to part C. Part C is a 3 marker question. This part C is mostly focused on inorganic chemistry. That's why if you see this part of the questions where it's dealt with, you have only inorganic chemistry questions. So from now, part C, part D and part E, you have each questions focused on only a particular part in chemistry. Like part C is in inorganic chemistry, part D fifth part is physical chemistry, part D sixth part is only organic chemistry. So from now on, these parts are focused on only a particular part of chemistry. Now, under part C, which is a 3-mark question in inorganic chemistry, fourth main, 8 questions are given. Out of that, you can answer any 4. Alright, any 4 you can answer. So here, next is question number 29. That is from General Principles and Process of Isolation of Elements, basically a metallurgy chapter. Now, under this chapter, what kind of questions can you be asked under the third one? Here, you are learning a lot of preparation methods. Okay, preparation, I mean, not preparation methods. You're basically learning those extractions, how you extract a pure metal from a particular process. So you have a lot of process, Hall-Herold's process, you have Mond's process, you have Van Arkel's method. Focus on these main processes because these are the ones that are generally asked in this particular question. Question number 29 is a 3-mark question. They can ask you a diagram. Hall-Herold's process have diagram in it. So they can ask you one diagram and write the cathodic anodic reaction. Or they can ask you to explain Van Arkel's method. Or they can ask you to explain a Mond's process. So these kind of questions are mainly focused in question number 29. That is the only 3-marker question coming from metallurgy chapter. Alright, if they ask Mond's process and Van Arkel's method, they are smaller process. So possible that they can ask you for this particular oxide or a sulfide, which sort of a extraction technique is used or a separation technique is used. So 1 mark they can ask from that. But if it's Hall-Herold's process, because you have a diagram involved in it, they can ask you for a complete 3-mark question. Alright, so that is from metallurgy. Then you have question number 30, 31 and 32. 3 questions coming from P block chapter. It's a very long chapter. You have bigger, groups in it. Alright, so you have 4 groups already. You have group 18, 17, 16 and 15. All 4 groups are there. Alright, now in this P block, what is that you need to focus on? Each question here is for each group. Alright, each question is for each group. So starting from group 15, the most important thing is the Haber's process and the flowchart for Haber's process. The conditions that are there in it, the catalyst used, the temperature, the pressure that is there, all these are to be taken note of when you learn Haber's process. Alright, so question number 30 could be from group 15, which is from Haber's process. Then question number 31 is again going to the group 16, which is your sulfur group. Okay, now when you have oxygen family, where under sulfur you are learning the contact process, which is the main process in group 16. Contact process, how to prepare sulfuric acid. Then the next group is for 32. 32 will go to your halogen family. Now under halogen family you have a lot of things. You have interhalogen compound, you have preparation of chlorine and a lot of things like that. You have oxo acid structures. So these things can be asked. So when you learn P block, these equations that have names like your Oswald's process, contact process, Haber's process, these 3 processes are important. So definitely go through them. Then what is important is each of these groups you're learning oxo acids, basically the structures of some acids which contain oxygen in it. Alright, like your sulfuric acid, nitric acid, phosphorus acid, hypophosphorus acid, metaphosphorus acid and all of that. These structures are there. You need to know the structure because you will have one question on structure of oxo acid. You should be knowing it. Then you can, so these are the 3 groups in which you can be asked. Now, where does your question for noble gases come? Noble gases question will basically come here. That is your 2-marker question. So, now these things are entirely divided properly. Under part C, you will be asked a question on group 15, 16, 17, which is nitrogen family, sulfur, carb, oxygen family, and your halogen family. Under halogens, interhalogen compounds can be asked in group A. But your noble gas can be asked in part B. Okay, so they're equally divided. So focus on these important things. Now, when you move to interhalogen compounds, what you need to focus on is those equations that have condition, not only interhalogen compounds throughout the entire P block. Apart from learning these important processes, you also should focus on those equations which says hot and concentrated, dilute and cold, They are excess. So there are these conditions mentioned in certain equations. These are certain equations you have to focus on, because they will ask you questions. Complete the following equations for these kind of reactions. So focus on these kind of questions in P block. Then is question number 33 and 34. That is from D and F block. Now what kind of questions come here? Very open questions these are. You can be asked a question on one IUPAC naming of you can be asked based on your preparation of KMNO4 and K2Cr2O7. Two things are there. Out of this, any one will be asked for sure in the exam. Preparation of K2Cr2O7 or preparation of KMNO4. Apart from this, what other questions can be asked? Give reason questions. Alright, like I've told you, why do you form colored compounds in this? What is the reason? Or what is the reason that transition elements form complex compounds? What is the purpose for it? Or they can also ask questions like, what is lanthanide contraction? Give an E1 consequence. What is actinoid contraction? Give an E1 consequence. Why is actinoids having a +3 oxidation states? These kind of questions are very commonly repeated in DNF block chapter. Then the next one is going to be from coordination compounds 35 and 36. These are very direct questions. You will have one question on IUPAC naming of coordination compound for 1 mark. Then you will have one question on isomerism. We have learned a lot of isomerisms in coordination compound. Structural isomerism, ionization isomerism, coordinate isomerism, a lot of isomerism. So one question on writing the different types of isomeric structures for these kind of coordination compounds. Then they can ask one question on VBT. For PUC, we have only 4 VBT structures, 2 on strong ligands and 2 on weak ligands, 2 complexes for nickel, 2 complexes for cobalt. We have only these compounds for VBT. Out of this, any one VBT question can be asked for 3 marks. It will be there in the paper. Apart from this, they can also have CFT. We have learned CFT 2 questions. One is for octahedral, the other one for tetrahedral. All that you have to do is draw the diagram and explain what those levels are, why they are separating, and where are they placed. E2G and EG, where are they placed? Similarly, in tetrahedral, why are they inverted? What is the reason behind it? These kind of questions are very common in coordination compounds. Alright, so first focus on these questions, then move on to the other things. Alright, so that is all about inorganic chemistry, where 8 questions are provided. Any 4 is what you have to attempt. Then the next one that you're moving is to part D. It says 11 questions that's combining both physical as well as inorganic. We will deal each of it individually. Now, under part D, part 5 contains only questions from physical chemistry. Alright, so here you are given with 5 questions. You have 5 chapters, one question from each chapter, 5 questions. Now, remember, these 5 questions, 5 mark questions can always be split as 4 plus 1 or 3 plus 2. So, one question could be 3 marker and the other could be 2 marker. One question could be 4 marker and the other could be 1 marker. That's how the question is going to be divided. It's never a 5 mark question directly in PUC. We never have a direct 5 marker question except for one question, that is define packing efficiency and calculate packing efficiency for this. Alright, only that time we have a direct 5 marker. No other question you have direct 5 marker in PUC. Now, in part D for the 5th main, 5 questions are given. You are expected to answer any 3. Alright, any 3 you can answer in part 5. Now the first question, which is question number 37, is from solid state. What is that compulsory question here? Compulsory question here is a packing efficiency derivation. We have learned 3 packing efficiency derivation. One is for simple cube, the other one is for FCC, the other one for PCC. Out of this, any one can be asked for a 3 marker or a 4 marker. Alright, that's one sure question. Then the other 2 marker or 1 mark question can be a problem on density. We have solved a problem on density, right? So one problem on density. And if the 21st question in the part B is not on Schottky-Frenkel defect, then you can expect one Schottky and Frenkel here. So anywhere one of these questions will be asked, like I've told you, Schottky-Frenkel defect, crystalline amorphous solids, a problem on density, definition of one of the magnetic properties with an example. All these are very commonly asked questions, but one compulsory question that will be there is derivation on packing efficiency. Alright, now next one is question on solutions chapter. 1, 3-mark proper question that will be asked over here is a problem on colligative property. Towards the end of the chapter, we have learned colligative property, 4 types. One is relative lowering of vapor pressure. The other one is boiling point, elevation and boiling point, depression and freezing point, and osmotic pressure. So 4 of this, they also have solved problems in your textbook. So these things, any one problem will be asked for a 3-marker, and that's a proper compulsory question that will be there. The remaining 2-marker question in the problem can be based on differences between ideal and differences between your positive negative deviation from Raoult's law. What are the differences between ideal and non-ideal solutions? Give what state Raoult's law, then state Henry's law and give a mathematical expression. Write a short note on osmotic pressure. Write a short note on reverse osmosis. These are possible other 2-mark questions that can be asked in that 38 question. But one compulsory question is a problem on colligative property. Next is question number 39. Which is a question on electrochemistry. Here, one question that can be compulsory asked is a problem. In electrochemistry, we are learning a lot of problems, right? Problem on Nernst equation, then its relation to equilibrium constant, and delta G is also there. So out of these 3, any one can be asked as a problem on electrochemistry for a 3-marker. Then the remaining 2-marker can be construction of SHE. That is also one of the repeated questions. Construction of SHE with a diagram given. Or they can ask you another question, could be a problem based on molar conductivity and conductivity, that the ionic conductance part. We have a problem on molar conductivity, one problem can come from there also. Alright, so the other 2-marker could possibly be an anodic cathodic reaction for rust, for battery, for fuel cells and all of that. Alright, now next is chemical kinetics question number 40. Here, one 3-marker question compulsory asked as a derivation. We have learnt integral rate equation for a first order and 0 order reaction. One derivation can be asked over here. Or a problem on to calculate rate constant for a first order or a 0 order. We have even solved problems based on it, right? So one problem can also be asked on it. The other 2-marker could be give reasons for which will affect the rate of the reaction, or explain the effect of catalyst on activation energy, or a problem on activation energy, how to calculate activation energy and Arrhenius constant. These kind of questions can be asked over here. Alright, now last one is question number 41, which is on surface chemistry. Here you have a lot of theory based questions. They can ask, give different differences between lyophilic and lyophobic colloids. Explain missile formation, define Kraft's temperature, then differences between heterogeneous and homogeneous catalysis with an example. All these things will be asked as differences in the chapter surface chemistry. That's a 3-marker and a 2-marker question. So basically I would tell you to focus on differences, to focus on difference on your classifications. So another thing that they can ask us based on differences between physisorption and chemisorption, characteristic feature of physisorption, characteristic feature of chemisorption. These are certain things that they can ask. Along with that, for colloids, you have the table with examples. When you have a solid as dispersion medium, or a liquid as a dispersed phase and dispersion medium, what kind of a salt do you form? Or give an example. So these kind of questions can also be asked. Surface chemistry is more of theory based more than numericals. So that is something that you will be asked in question number 41. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all these is because these are some of the repeated questions and compulsory questions that are there from many years in the PU board exam paper. So I wanted to focus on these things. I want all of you to get really good marks in it, because the paper is having a lot of option, a lot of choice, and it's easy for you to learn. And when you have such an option of where these questions are compulsory there in the paper, why not take an advantage of it, right? So focus on these questions and learn them, make them thorough, and then move on to other questions. Alright, now let's move on to the last part, which is the 6th part, which is basically focusing on your organic chemistry. Here there are 6 questions. Out of these 6 questions, again, any 3 here. Okay, again, wider option that you have. Now, here each question is based on each organic part. So the first one is question number 42 from haloalkanes, haloarenes. Now, one 3-mark question that can be asked over here is one SN1 SN2 mechanism or the SN1 SN2 stereochemical mechanism is a sure question in this particular question number 42 A part for a 3-marker. The remaining 2-marker could be a name reaction, it could be a preparation method or anything else, or it could be one of the physical properties. Alright, or it could be from the aromatic system. When I take, say, chlorobenzene and I try to do a Friedel-Krauss reaction, or when I try to do a nitration reaction, what products can be formed? These kind of questions for a 2-marker, but a 3-marker sure question is SN1 SN2 mechanism or a stereochemical mechanism. Alright, now moving on to the next one, haloalkanes and haloarenes, question number 43. A sure 3-mark question here is acid catalyzed dehydration of ethanol to ethane. It's a sure short 3-mark question here. Write the mechanism in 3 different steps. I've also done a video for this. Just 2 videos before this particular video, I have done a mechanism. Please go through that if you still have a doubt in it. So it's been done in detail, so you will know how to write it. Alright, so that is a 3-mark, sure 3-mark question. Then is next one from aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acid, question number 44. Again, a sure short question from this is mechanism of addition of HCN either to aldehyde or a ketone. That is a sure short question over here. Alright, so learn these mechanisms that I'm telling you because they are sure short there in the paper. Then question number 45 is from amines. Amines, again, you can be asked name reactions because you have bigger name reactions in this particular chapter, like a Gabriel thalamide reaction, Hoffman bromamide reaction, carbylamine reaction. These are all bigger reactions. So for a 3-marker, they can ask you from here. Other 2-marker could be various other, can complete the following reaction or a physical property on them and all of that. Then 46 question. Then a question number 46 is on biomolecules. Biomolecules, basically you can be asked a lot of questions on structural illustration of glucose. They won't ask directly, give the structural illustration of glucose because it's a very big question. It's a 10-marker question. We don't have those, but instead they can ask you 2 equations out of it. Explain a reaction to show the pentacetate state of a glucose. Explain a reaction of glucose to confirm that they contain an aldehyde group. So those kind of 1-1 equations can be asked from there. Then another 1-marker question that they can ask can be a structure of one of the disaccharides that we have learned. We have done 3 disaccharides, out of that any one structure can be asked. Then they can ask, give a deficiency for a particular vitamin. Vitamin D, what deficiency do you have and all of that. Then possibly they can ask, give a nitrogen base that's present in RNA and not DNA. They won't ask the structure for it and all. Structures will only be asked from your carbohydrates part where you're learning for glucose, you're learning for disaccharides. No other structures will be asked here. So these kind of questions can be asked in biomolecules. Then the last one is going to be 47th question, which is polymers. Polymers, you know, it is going to be a combination of all your organic chapters where you're combining all the concepts that you learn to prepare polymers. So they can ask you to prepare Buna S, Buna N, polythene, polyacrylonitrile. What are the preparation methods? Also, they can ask what are the monomers present in each of these. So in PAN, what is going to be the monomer unit? Or what is the partial structure of a polythene? All these can be questions that are coming in polymer. Now, while I tell you all, okay, this particular question is coming in part 6 in the question paper. Please remember that if I have in question number 43 a question on haloalkane, my question number 25 from the same chapter could be from haloarene. Okay, sorry, here 42nd one, and the question number here, this particular question number, which is question number 19, could be a question from haloarene. If 43rd question is from alcohol, which is ethanol to ethene, then my 25th question should be from phenols, and this question over here should be from ether. So equally, each functional group is given equal difference. So it's not like the question paper is only set for a particular functional group. If in that entire chapter, if you have 3 questions, equally they will divide all functional groups in it. Alright. Similarly, question number 44 and 26, and this particular question is coming from aldehydes, ketones and carboxylic acid. So they've equally divided it. 44th question will be from aldehydes, 26th will be from ketones, and this particular question will be from carboxylic acid. So each question is equally divided in your chapter. All right. So if your 45th question is based on amines, then here you could have a question on aromatic amine or diazotization. So that way they are divided very equally. They are divided. So each student can score proper marks. That's how the question paper is set. So let me tell you one thing, that this particular method of explaining the blueprint and telling you those compulsory questions that are there in the paper is 100% sure. Focus on these questions, and this particular pattern of blueprint and this particular compulsory questions and all is only and strictly for PUC students of second year and not for CBSE board. All right, let me make that one thing very clear, because this is only for the PUC students. These predicted questions are coming in, so please go through these. I hope this particular blueprint explanation is very clear to you all. I hope it helps you all in the upcoming exam, which is going to happen in a week. And I want you all to please go through this, and if you want anything else, please put it up in the comment section and I will do it for you all. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel before you exit. Thank you so much.